Hello and welcome to the fastest half hour in the cryptid world, This Week in Bigfoot, the news show that scours the internet and the Bigfoot community each and every week to bring you the people, places, and stories making headlines around the Bigfoot world. Then we take it, we wrap it up in a nice, neat 30-minute package. If it has to do with Sasquatch, Bigfoot, the Wildman, trust me, we've got you covered. This week is forgiveness written into the code of Bigfoot research when it comes to hoaxers. We'll take a look into that storyline. Mike Luci takes a deep dive into Bigfoot and the trail systems of North America. Snowwalker Prime delivers the second half of his expedition Bigfoot 2 Minutes With, and I speak with a recent Bigfoot witness to try to understand the dynamics of an up-close encounter. These stories and enough Bigfoot news to keep you more than satisfied, we hope, so you better settle in, buckle up, and smash that subscribe button. Oh, and try to keep up, because you know we move fast around here. You ready, kids? The clock's ticking. Let's go.
911, what are you reporting?
He's walking upright like a man.
With someone or something crawling around out here.
But he went back up the mountain.
Get somebody out there.
What's going on now, sir?
That son of a bitch is about 6'9", I don't know. He's all black and big. He is big.
A few weeks ago, we highlighted a recent That Bigfoot podcast episode that posed the question, how long does someone accused of hoaxing have to suffer for his or her past transgressions?
It's not that I don't care that he hoaxed the videos, because nobody should hoax anything. I don't like anybody hoaxing anything, right? For any reason, no matter whether it's to further the discovery or whatever. But if the cat's out of the bag and he did it, right? 12 freaking years ago. What's happened in those 12 years? Has he continued to do research? Has he continued to take people out and allow them to interact with Sasquatch? I believe probably so, because I had that experience myself.
Must they always be labeled a hoaxer or a fraud, even if now they be actually sitting on real Bigfoot evidence? And ever since that episode aired, Facebook has been inundated with posts and comments regarding that particular live stream and conversation. So I thought to myself, what a perfect time to address this subject right here, right now on this show. Now, we won't go into any names, but if you pay close attention to the B-roll, you'll quickly come to understand exactly who this segment is about.
Here it is, that he has found the body that will confirm with
Hoaxing has been a cancer within the Bigfoot community for decades, with all sorts of players taking part in the act, and for various reasons, known mostly only to them. But how long must a hoaxer be labeled a hoaxer?
Has dedicated most of his life to proving that Bigfoot is real.
Before writing this segment, I conducted a poll on our Facebook group to see if I could get the feel for exactly what you were thinking. And, well, the results are kind of what I'd expect. Take a look. With most not willing to forgive and forget, and for the rest, mostly never believing the researcher in the first place. Admitting when someone has misled or lied to the group, like here in the Bigfoot community, is an essential step towards personal growth and hopefully the eventual restoration of trust. It's why we have our court system here in the United States, and why the accused and convicted gets to make a statement to the court prior to sentencing, and why in most sentencing cases, not all, the sentences are less severe when those convicted admit their wrongdoing, explain their motivations, and show remorse for their actions.
What I did, and there's absolutely no excuse, and I just want you guys to know that I really am sorry.
And while it might be uncomfortable and humbling to acknowledge our mistakes, it's crucial for the well-being of both individuals and the groups they interact with. We kick off this week by taking a look into why it's so important for someone to admit when they've misled or lied or hoaxed to the Bigfoot community, and how this admission can pave the way for their eventual rebuilding of trust. Maybe. Trust, as most sane people know, is the cornerstone of any successful relationship, be it personal or professional, because when someone misleads or lies to any group, it erodes the foundation of trust that has been established within that group. Admitting to such behavior is the first step in a long road to repairing the damage caused. By coming clean and acknowledging the truth, as painful as it can be, this allows the perpetrator to demonstrate the renewed commitment to honesty, transparency, and accountability. Now, when someone misleads, lies, or hoax here within the Bigfoot community, like several key figures have ever since the advent of social media, and gets caught, it often has far-reaching consequences. It results in strained relationships, loss of credibility, and the erosion of the community standards as a whole. By admitting their wrongdoings, individuals can take responsibility for the impact of their actions, showing empathy and respect for the feelings of others involved. Admitting to misleading or lying is an opportunity for individuals to restore their personal integrity.
But I've been entirely truthful from day one.
I don't want to go public yet. It's like, well, I will say this. So Sasquatch Ontario is a lie. He's a hoaxer. He was deceitful. I knew this for a long time, and I was just waiting for him to expose myself.
But when someone denies their wrongdoings or is unwilling to admit they did what they did and why, the walls are only built higher between the honest working researchers here in the Bigfoot community and that particular person or group. Now, don't get me wrong, it often requires much more courage and self-reflection than most frauds, hoaxers, or attention whores here within the Bigfoot community often have in order to confront one's flaws and take ownership of them. I apologize for the adult language, but this subject really freaking pisses me off.
Yo, I gotta know though, can I ask you something? Sure. What was the deal with the Sasquatch glove?
Oh, just my brother-in-law got it to me as a joke. He was just fucking with me.
But if a hoaxer can man up and muster the courage to come clean, they demonstrate, at least to me, commitment to personal growth and future possible ethical behavior. But unfortunately, these apologies come few and far between here in the Bigfoot community, as I can think of absolutely no one that's ever been accused or proven of a fraud here in the Bigfoot community that's ever had the inner fortitude to stand up and admit their mistakes. If you can think of one, let me know in the comments section. I'd love to hear about it. But if you really think about it, if they had that integrity, would they have really hoaxed or done anything wrong in the first place? I somehow doubt it. And to me, that says a lot about this subject and the people within the community.
I did most of my squatching on the East Coast, and one of the most common things I hear about Bigfoot in this part of the country is that so many reports happen near or along the Appalachian Trail. And if you do a little digging, the pattern is pretty apparent. For context right here, the Appalachian Trail is the green line on the map on the left. The right one is a snapshot from the Bigfoot Mapping Project. And just looking at them side by side, you can see how the Bigfoot reports seem to follow the AT. Now, this won't be 100% precise, but when we superimpose both maps, it further reiterates that point. Having said that, I wondered if this trend also appeared in other major trailways, and here's what I found. So to clarify, one map here lays out all 11 national scenic trails in the United States. The other is another Bigfoot Mapping Project snapshot of the US. So let's do a little superimposing. Again, not 100% precise, but we can see the same correlation between Bigfoot reports and other national scenic trails that I just pointed out on the Appalachian Trail. Let's zoom in on a specific section of these maps to better demonstrate this point. I specifically chose the Northeast US because it features 3 national scenic trails that we could focus on: the AT, the North Country Trail, and the New England National Scenic Trail. Let's start with the AT. We see it heads on here southwest from northwest Maine into northern New Hampshire. It then enters central Vermont, where it shifts 90 degrees south and parallels New York's border through Massachusetts and northwest Connecticut. It then moves across southern New York and North Jersey before cutting through southeast Pennsylvania. Next we have the North Country Trail, which starts in western Vermont. It crosses the Adirondacks, cuts through central New York, and runs along New York's southern tier before heading into northwest Pennsylvania and eventually enters eastern Ohio. Lastly, the New England National Scenic Trail starts in southwest New Hampshire, cuts through central Massachusetts and Connecticut, and eventually stops at Long Island Sound in southern Connecticut. So looking at the Bigfoot Mapping Project snapshot here, you can practically follow all 3 trails just by using the plotted reports on the map. And we'll quickly superimpose both these snapshots just to reinforce that point. So despite the correlation we see here, it still begs the question: can we chalk all this up to a coincidence? are so many Bigfoot reports clustered around these national scenic trails, mainly because of the wilderness and densely wooded areas they happen to move through, providing the perfect conditions for misidentifications or fabricated tales? Or is this evidence that Squatches may also utilize the same trail systems that so many of us traverse?
Last week, I spoke with Daniel Perez, publisher of the Bigfoot Times newsletter. And during that interview, Daniel mentioned a recent sighting that took place during the Ozark Bigfoot Conference campout.
On the last day when everyone was going to leave in the early hours of the morning at around 3:15, there was a sighting by a lady by the name of Brandy Butcher, who was from Missouri, and very compelling in the sense that there was evidence left behind because there was tall grass that was trampled down, and it had just rained, so you could see where the subject had walked. It seemed like it walked around the perimeter of the entire campground. So that was very interesting. It was the first time, probably the closest I've ever been to a Sasquatch.
So I thought we should go directly to the source and speak to the witness, a Miss Brandy Butcher, to see if Brandy would share exactly what happened to her that night.
Okay, so, the conference was Saturday, of course, and we had went to the conference, and we'd already been camping out since Friday. So when we went in there on Saturday, we were all a little tired because we'd been hiking the night before. Then that night, we went back, and we were going to go out hiking that evening also. Well, we sat around the campfire, and then Shane Carpenter came up, and he said, hey, there's a little storm coming in. And, we're going to, have to hold off. And so everybody, took their stuff down and made sure everything was, hooked in the ground and all that kind of stuff. Well, This storm was way more than we bargained for. And people had ended up sleeping in their vehicles. In my tent, I had other people in there, plus myself. So I'm like, well, I have an air mattress. And before the storm, I'm like, I'm going to just deflate this. I'm going to throw it in my car because, I don't want to get wet. So I sat in my car watching all of this happen and things flying everywhere. And then I had fallen asleep. It wasn't long. I was exhausted. We've been at the conference all day and then we've been up half the night. And this is, way past 2 a.m. While I was sleeping, and I knew it wasn't that long because I kind of woke up just enough and I'm hearing like tapping. It was this weird kind of tapping on the front of my car. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's dew coming off the trees because, it had been very, very wet. So then I hear something walking around near the driver's side door of my car. Now I am in the driver's seat itself. And I hear something walking around out there and I'm thinking, okay, it's one of these ladies getting up, to use the restroom. And I'm thinking, okay. So I looked off to, of course, my left out the driver's side window. And I'm looking at the guys' tents to see if anybody had got out of their tent. And there was nobody up and around. So I'm thinking, okay, all right. So I kind of just tilt my head the other way and I'm looking off to my right-hand side out the passenger window. And I see something standing there. Now, mind you, I am still half asleep and I'm looking and I see this dark figure standing right at the corner of the tent, almost right behind it. And I look at it and I'm thinking, is that a person? I couldn't grasp what I'm looking at. And I'm like, that is way too big to be a person. Then I'm thinking, okay, it's got to be a bear. There's bear, all the way around, the county. And I'm thinking, well, it's probably a bear. And I'm thinking, no, that's really not a bear. A black bear wouldn't be that big. There's no way. I'm thinking, what am I looking at? Now, I got a very decent look at this thing.
And this is what you went there for the weekend, Brandy.
I know. And so I'm sitting there, in all this time, as I'm thinking about what these things are, my heart is just starting to race and it's more and it's more and it's more. And I'm looking and I had a little bit of condensation on the window from being in the car and from the rain. So I'm looking at this thing and I'm in disbelief right there. I'm like, that's Bigfoot. that is a Bigfoot. So I'm trying not to move because, you know, I'm starting to breathe heavy. It was just to the point where, what do? I can't notify anybody. We didn't have any phone signal. As soon as I would pick up my phone, the light would come on so it would see me. I didn't want to turn on the lights because, of course, it would see me. You know, I didn't want to honk the horn because I didn't want to scare it. And when I'm looking at it, it's not showing what you would call aggression. To me, it kind of looked like confusion, or it's sitting there kind of figure out what it's trying to do, because when I'm looking at it, you're seeing it sway, and it's just swaying from side to side. And now, I see it looking around.
How tall was it? Now you have, this is a 4-person tent it's next to?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So how much higher than the tent was it? Approximately.
You know,
that hold you to any of this.
Well, no, because I can tell you, and I'll tell you why. The tent, it came down just below the head. It was just below the top of the tent. And, you know, when Daniel asked me, he said, how do you know how tall it was? I said it was about 6'5" or there around 6'5". He said, how'd you know? I said, because my brother's 6'5". I've been around him my whole life. I can judge that, you know, pretty easily. So I'm like,
and the distance from your seat through the window to the tent where the creature was, approximately in feet.
It was 20 feet. Okay. I think we measured it out at 19.4 inches.
That is not far.
No, it is not far at all. No. So, you know, and I'm looking at it and I watch it, you know, keep swaying back and forth. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what to do here, because I don't want to jump out and yell like, surprise. You know, I'm not going to do any of that. But when I looked at it, it was very bulky on the top. Because of the condensation, I couldn't pick out particular features on it, but I can tell you that this thing was massive. It was standing there, and I'm telling you, the chest on this thing was just wide. It was so wide, and I kept thinking to myself, people are like, well, I'm going to sleep in my car. I'll feel safer in there. When I looked at that, I did not at all feel safe. I'm thinking, if he wanted to come get me, he could rip me out of my car, and nobody would get out of their tent fast enough to help. He was just that big.
Yeah, but the car's thicker than the fabric of the tent. Right?
That's true. That's true. That is true.
Yeah, right.
You know, but I'm sitting there and I'm like, if this thing wanted me, it could break my window in an instant. There's nothing I could do. I could just sit there. Wow. You know, I'm just.
Now, I'd like to thank Brandy for her time and let you know that due to time restraints here on the show, we were unable to air my entire interview with Brandy. It will be available in our members section on our channel.
Tonight's episode is sponsored by Larynx.
I found some information on a breakthrough study that narrowed down some major influential factors on evolution in mammals, whose results could shed light on the behavioral tendencies purportedly exhibited by Bigfoot. Researchers from the British Natural History Museum formed a new evolutionary model on mammals after analyzing over 300 placental skulls, leading them to uncover 5 key determining factors of mammalian evolution: habitat, social behaviors, diet, parental care, and time of activity. The study revealed that social mammals, for example, evolved much faster than solitary ones. Researchers pointed to hoofed animals like deer and goats, which evolved antlers and horns for fighting and social displays. Regarding diet, their findings determined that herbivores evolved faster than carnivores, citing how herbivores likely track changes in plants and their surrounding environment. On parental care and time of activity, the study revealed that mammals who require less parental care evolve much faster than ones who are more reliant on that form of nurturing, like primates, for example. Now, while there weren't any distinctions in diurnal or nocturnal animals, the study found that mammals who adhere to a strict activity schedule evolve slower than ones who lack that time structure. So what could these determinants of mammal evolution tell us about Bigfoot? Researchers are split on whether Squatches are more social or solitary creatures, but if we follow the primate paradigm, it would indicate that they're most likely social beings, among each other at least, with many witnesses' accounts claiming that they travel and work collaboratively to back that up. Squatches are also believed to be omnivores. Although the study didn't touch on omnivorous mammals, other research revealed that omnivores evolved much slower than both carnivores and herbivores. Regarding parental care, if we once again look at primate trends and consider all those accounts of Squatches carrying babies, all signs point to them relying on this kind of nurturing in their early years. They're also largely considered to be most active at night, which is when most reported sightings seemingly occur. These main determinants seem to allude that Squatches stem from a slow evolutionary timeline, and that's pretty significant. In most cases, animals that evolve slower or better are perfectly adapted to their environments, having little or no need to adopt any physical mutative changes for survival or reproductive success. So this might explain why Bigfoot are so elusive and why we've yet to successfully prove their existence, because they're perfectly adapted to their environment, able to thrive while remaining hidden, and as a result, have no need for evolution to survive.
All right, folks, check your watches. We are officially halfway through episode 35, which can only mean one thing. It's the part of the show where we give content creator Michael Merchant, you know him as Snowwalker Prime, screen time to speak his mind and get what's ever bothering him off his chest. Now, last week, Snowwalker tore an expedition Bigfoot's lack of original content. This week, he's picking up right where he left off. This is 2 Minutes With.
Echo Station 3PA. Spotted a Terry Walker. Echo Station 3PA. We have spotted a Terry Walker.
Yep, Stephanie, smells like bear. That's bear poop.
They filmed 2 Sasquatch, 2 Bigfoot in one show. The show is scripted. It's not real. Well, you can't be sure of that. They faked season 1. They stayed at the Anton Dude Cattle Ranch. The Cinnabar mine was a harmless tourist attraction, gold mine. Come on, it's not like they murdered somebody. I never said they murdered somebody, just that they're serial hoaxers. Kind of sounds like you're calling them murderers. No, I never said that. When you say serial, it sounds, I just think of a murderer. They didn't murder anybody. You are very harsh. I think I'm being more than fair. Agree to disagree. So they were using this high-tech, fixed-wing drone. They got on thermal, a humanoid-type creature running through the woods in a very remote area. There was nobody there.
This is really strange. Whatever I saw across the way there literally just vanished. Are you in position?
Yeah. They were there, right? Well, yeah, of course, silly, they had to be there. And there were sound guys and production guys and safety guys and guides. I didn't see any of those on TV.
I'm getting the impression that it's trying to stay hidden.
I'm telling you, this is a production. There's all kinds of people behind the scenes. No, I only saw the team. And there was nobody there. There's always somebody there. Who do you think's filming this stuff? Well, I hadn't really thought of it. The whole show is staged and fabricated. All I know is that they were hiking around in the woods by this glacier that nobody ever goes to, and they saw a Bigfoot. And then they had the hikes to get up there to investigate, and even though they said that nothing's on a glacier, it's a great place for stuff to hide. You don't sound that impressed. Did anybody think about flying a drone up there? Well, I don't remember it being discussed. When they're on the glacier, they're being filmed with a drone. Well, in hindsight, that would have made a lot of sense.
It's possible that whatever it is tracking you. Back further out of that area and report back to me. Roger that.
Yeah, you could have just flown the drone up there and saw what it was. Saved yourself a whole lot of hiking, Russ. My name's not Russ. That was sarcasm. I was being sarcastic towards the television show.
So this actual angle from the robot dog is staring at that pile of rocks.
Maybe we should have some kind of sign when you do that, like, flash like a gang sign or something. I don't know, you're being sarcastic. Did you hear that? What? I think I heard something. I didn't hear anything. Something over there. Over where?
Whoa. It's right behind the beaver.
Where? Yeah, I definitely smell something. Are you smelling something or hearing something? I think I know what you saw. I didn't see anything. I think you know that I saw what I think I saw. I wasn't thinking you saw that, but maybe. It's an orb. It's an orb.
It looks like it's tall, too, because these These eyes are high up by the tree.
Transforming into a Bigfoot. You're just poking fun. Do you see something over there? Let me know. Well, of course. What's that? Did you hear that? What did I hear? What? There's something I hear over there. Over where? I don't hear anything. Made it really loud.
It wasn't me.
Noise. I still haven't heard anything. It's a deafening silence. That's what I'm saying. I'm not hearing anything. Did you feel that? It suddenly got really cold. You know, that's a sign of demons. Look at my breath. And have you seen poltergeist? I swear the temperature's dropped 20 degrees in here. That would have to be Bigfoot. Ronnie always says those things are related to Bigfoot. I think it's Bigfoot.
I'm going to move in from my position. Can you guide me?
Well, if you think you heard something and smelled something and maybe saw something, then it probably is Bigfoot. You could go back to this location where we seen, smelled, and heard a Sasquatch, but we're gonna pick a brand new location for next season, just to mix it up. You know, we're walking on the glacier now, and I don't know why, but it's really cold up here.
I can't believe how much colder it is up here.
It's really cold on top of this glacier. It's such a mystery, but it's a great place for Sasquatch to hide. This bottomless crevasses. Look, oh, there's a cave. Perfect spot.
And I'm betting that Bigfoot would do the same.
No one's ever actually reported a Sasquatch in a mine or a cave system, but that's where he's got to be. Look, Neanderthal was in caves. It makes perfect sense for Sasquatch to be in it. It makes perfect sense for a humongously large creature to be crawling around in impossibly tall, small crevasses. Well, it doesn't make any sense when you put it like that. That's how it is. Caves are tight and small and tiny. Bigfoot, supposedly, is huge, big. Well, it's true, but they're very limber. You don't see woolly rhinoceroses, mastodons, and buffalo in caves. Why would you expect to see a Sasquatch in a cave? Very, very good place to hide. If you're a tiny little critter, yeah, but not if you're something big. Look, all I know is every time they go into a cave and a robot in there, they find something every single time. They find something because the show is staged. How many times do I have to tell you this? You'll forgive me if I don't take your word for it, Mr. Know-It-All.
Wild Bigfoot by Larix, the official hat of This Week in Bigfoot, sponsored by Larix.
It's time once again for the Bigfoot Rundown. The Bigfoot Rundown.
Check out this video I came across on Facebook. I found it on the Boise Bigfoot page, and according to the description, they're alleging this was sent to them by one of their followers. They don't know much outside the main description, but claim this chilling footage was taken at an abandoned building deep in the woods of West Virginia. One of the prominent details it points out is how the figure in question seems to exhibit eye shine. You can definitely see it blink a few times, and it seems to be decently sized. Comments propose a variety of things this mysterious figure could be. While you had your fair share of skeptics and believers, a good amount of people had alternate theories that included meth heads, hybrid chimps, and even the figure being some sort of supernatural entity. It's an interesting video for sure. Let us know what you think.
Anyone remember this video that was taken near the Giant's Causeway in Northern Ireland some 8 years ago? Always liked that one. Well, a TikToker that goes by the handle RBDCell claims he stumbled upon his version of strange mountain doorways while out exploring around Quartzville Drive, northeast of Eugene, Oregon. Take a look.
Right there is Stone Door.
We had a bunch of people that are going to go with us. Most of them have dropped out on us. We did pass 2 white government trucks about 3 miles back. Kind of makes me wonder. But anyways, as of right now, the doorway is up there.
So, if Bigfoot does indeed live in mountains, as some of you claim, using caves and mines as entrances, is this some sort of doorway for the creature to use as well? Or is this just nature's way of doing what she does best? And that's fool us into thinking it's something more.
Alright, we're just moving one state over for my next rundown segment in this episode. Check out these unknown screams someone posted on the Bigfoot subreddit last week. According to the original poster, who goes by the username alternative_stay1287, these strange vocalizations were captured in Northern Virginia near the city of Fredericksburg, to be exact. Alternative_stay claims they're unsure what was making these eerie howls. They also said their neighbors heard them as well and are just as dumbfounded. Commenters propose a variety of theories on what could have made them, with bobcats, deer, and mountain lions all being mentioned. Also, just to clarify, it does look like alternative_stay put their camera up against what seems to be some sort of screening or window, in case anyone was wondering. I found quite a few Bigfoot reports in the area surrounding Fredericksburg on a few public databases, so the surrounding area does have a history of reports.
This video recently surfaced on the internet is said to come from southwest of Salt Lake City, Utah, near the Bingham Canyon Mine. It shows what appears to be a massive figure looking down on a man working with his excavator. The sight of whatever or whoever it was disturbed the worker so much that he actually stopped to film it.
Oh no, that thing's kind of creepy. It's like a person's silhouette up in the clouds. I'm sorry. If it was your mountain, I'm sorry I broke it.
Now, the Bingham Canyon Mine is the largest man-made excavation pit on the planet. And if this is indeed a Sasquatch looking down on the excavation pit, it has a very good reason to be concerned.
Apparently Bigfoot, or a man dressed as one, drank way too much on Halloween night and stirred up some trouble with a group of trick-or-treaters in Rhode Island. A resident of Barrington, Rhode Island, called police around 6:30 p.m. to report an intoxicated man dressed in a Bigfoot costume who was harassing a group of adults and children while they were trick-or-treating. Nobody in the party said they knew or recognized the man and were uncomfortable by his presence. After arriving at the scene, police questioned those involved before calling for EMTs, who arrived on scene and transported the man to a nearby hospital. The town of Barrington is located in eastern Rhode Island, just a few miles southeast of Providence, along the state's border with Massachusetts. While nobody was charged, I think it's safe to say Bigfoot definitely left its mark on this group of trick-or-treaters on Halloween.
The fearless gang from Hickory, North Carolina is back. This time they appear to be dealing with an angry Bigfoot allegedly yelling at them for intruding on its land. It's the Squatch Watchers.
It's changing octaves.
So what do you think? And that's this week's Bigfoot Rundown. The Bigfoot Rundown. Here's Chuck Larson with this week's top 5 Bigfoot podcasts and live streams.
Kicking off this week's top 5, at number 5, it's Encrypted Connections. I'm a big fan of Kyle. He always has great guests and co-hosts on. Listen as Dewey, his co-host for this episode, tells him about a creature he saw driving in Kentucky.
When you look around and all you see is woods, what's the first thing you think?
I usually think like, what is in the woods looking out at me? I mean,
Exactly.
Something is there.
Exactly. And that's what I thought when I went to New Hampshire. I looked at Alex and I said, man, if there was ever a doubt that these things, these Bigfoot, these Sasquatch weren't real, I would tell somebody, come take a ride up on these roads up here and look around you and then tell me you don't believe that they can stay hidden.
Sliding in at number 4, it's Wartime Stories. I really like this encounter because Luke tells different stories about military encounters with skinwalkers.
Sure enough, we hear it. This strange sound, along with a screech and rustling in the brush that's coming from down the front side of the hill.
I see something.
We had a 13 Golf on the gun, which is a thermal optic, and I looked down the hill and saw this deer-looking thing. But it was standing on 2 legs. As soon as I caught sight of it, it then ran straight up the hill past our defense on the right flank. And then it dropped back down on all 4 legs and disappeared down the backside of this hill. My buddy Rick had a skeeter, which is another type of thermal, and he saw that thing too. Since then, we came up with the name Skinwalker Guns, since we just say that's what it was and embrace it.
Coming in at number 3, it's Bigfoot Anon. Connor does an amazing job rattling off different anonymous cryptid encounters.
Dogman encounter back in 1999. I was on the side of the road taking a piss. All honestly, I don't think I could even get a pic if I had a camera phone. It ran past me. At 15 yards to my right, the woods turned around and changed me. I ran as fast as I could to the car, yelling at my friend to get the hell out of here. It was big, and I could only hear every step it took.
At number 2, we have Untold Radio Network, Talking Weird Podcast, Terrifying Dogman Reports with Eli Watson. I thought it was cool listening to Eli decipher through the different reports and then telling us the scariest one he's ever heard.
It was this young woman who was driving through Bray Road and felt like she had run something over. And she got out of her car. She stopped and got out to look at her car and see what it was that she had hit, and she didn't see anything. And she heard footsteps like running on the pavement towards her, and she couldn't see it yet, but she jumped into her car, and it was one of these creatures running at her, and it actually scratched the side of her car. And I think Linda Godfrey interviewed that woman and saw the scratch marks on the side of the car. I believe photographs exist, but I don't have access to those. So,
coming in at number 1 this week, it's Planet 412. Listen as Matt recounts his first encounter with a cryptid. This is really creepy. Check it out.
Because there's only one way to describe what I saw. Wolf-like creature so big that we felt like we were asleep. I was waiting for any moment to wake up, and I didn't, and none of my friends did either. And it was watching these dogs run away as if to say, I let you go, don't come back to my territory.
All right, folks, it pains me once again to tell you that we are all out of time for this week's episode. Time sure does fly when you're having fun. I'd like to thank you for watching and remind you to like and share everything we do here at the Catskill Appalachian Research Collective. You got to tell your friends. And if you have any questions or comments, or maybe a news story you'd like to see us cover on the show, you can always drop us a line at thisweekinbigfootnewscast@gmail.com. So, until next week, for Mike Luci, Chuck Larson, and Snowwalker Prime, have a happy Thanksgiving, be good, watch football, and keep on squatching, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.